Hey Terry, how are you doing today?
Fine, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Everybody, we are here with Terry Bishop from Elite Home Inspections, and we're just chatting today all about new construction inspections and everything you need to know. So Terry, what are your plans this weekend?
This weekend I'm actually going up north, visit some high school friends and gonna sit and watch the Bills game and hang out and just for a high school visit.
Very cool. That's nice. That's awesome. I weirdly enough, I don't have any plans this weekend. The pool's
That's
shut.
nice too sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I'll probably end up having to work a little bit. That's what happens when you sell real estate. So anyways, well, let's get down to business. One question I have for you at first is how did you get into home inspections?
Good question. I always have had a job. I always like to stay busy. I always like to have some comfort in case something happened to a job and then there's another outlet, there's another just a safety of another thing going on. So I just like to keep two things going on at sometimes and I just stay busy with it. I guess that's the answer.
Yeah,
Feel more comfort
yeah,
knowing I have two things going on in case something gets ugly. Yep.
I get it. I get it completely. Well, very cool. Well, okay, so let's get down to business. I know you because I sell a decent amount or a kind of a lot of new construction homes. And so you end up doing a lot of my home inspections, which I love it. And you do such a great job. So one question I have for you is why do you think you should get a home inspection for a new construction home?
New construction homes, you got to realize everybody that purchases a new construction home,
Mhm.
that's the biggest investment they're probably ever going to
Oh, yeah.
make, an average person makes in their life.
Yeah.
So I would highly recommend a professional or a home inspection come in and just look at everything when it's done because we go over a lot of components and a lot of structure. There's a lot of hands-on during the build, obviously, and a lot of different trades are in and out.
Yeah.
Everybody's touching everybody else's stuff and they all do well, but at the end of the day, it's nice for somebody to go in when it's totally done and see if everything functions as intended. We go over a lot of things as a home inspector: roofing, HVAC, plumbing, electrical,
Yeah.
foundation. We're looking at a lot of things, and then you know what you're purchasing and or what you can negotiate with what's going on with the house, since it is a large investment.
Yeah, and for sure, it doesn't matter if it's new or not. We just closed on a house that you did the home inspection on, and I think when you first went in it, you're like, okay, none of the half the electrical wasn't working, and so on. So it's like
Yeah.
super helpful, and like the builder didn't even know because they hadn't gotten that far to check everything again. So and because they just turned the power on, so I think I'm like the
You
biggest
never know. I've been where
yeah.
they totally forgot the gutters. Nobody knew there was
uh,
no gutters. They just
yeah,
totally forgot, simple things like that. But
yeah,
it's
for
a
sure.
lot. There's a lot going on during the build.
Yeah. So, okay. So one question I have is, what is radon and why is radon so important with new and home inspections and like new construction?
Radon's a gas, odorless, colorless, tasteless, comes from the ground.
Mhm.
It's uranium going back to its original state,
Yeah.
and it puts off this gas. It kind of runs in veins under the ground, so
Mhm.
there's no rhyme or reason. We can't tell where it is. You could test positive for radon at the house you're in, and 2 miles away there might not be any.
Yeah.
So you never know where. The only way to find out is to do the test. We have boxes that do a 48-hour test. They sample the air every hour. They drop the high, they drop the low, and they give you an average of a 48-hour test to
Yeah.
see what's in your home where you're sleeping 8 hours a day in this box in this house. We call it a box. It could be taken in high levels of radon. It's known to cause lung cancer. So the only way is to test for it. A, safety. Is it here or not? Is it high? B, if it is high and you're the buyer, usually it's a mitigation system's put in by the owner of the house at that time. So
Yeah.
you're safe and protected and you're better off. A, and it's B, you don't have to pay for it.
Yeah, exactly. And my thought is if it's a new construction, I mean, like it's land that no one's built on before, so no one really knows. So it's
And there's
probably
a handful of
yeah.
agents that are misled, and every once in a while I hear, oh, it's a new house, we don't need to do radon.
Mm.
New house has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
It's under the ground.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you. So in another question I have for you is why do you feel like the yard, it's important that they have the yard put in the home?
Yards are very important. The landscape around your house, the drainage, the way it's graded, the
Mhm.
way it's pitched,
Oh yeah.
all that's very important. You can't
Yeah.
overlook that. Especially now, and a lot of these new homes are slabs, and a lot of
Uh-huh.
these neighborhoods are putting them close together. So
Uh-huh.
in between the house is a little ditch that people are sharing, and
Yeah.
you don't want standing water in that ditch. It attracts mold, mildew, bugs, mosquitoes. That brings in termites. So you want to make sure everything's drained away from the house.
Mhm.
Gutters do a very important thing to a house in directing water away from the house. Gutters are very important. Drainage ditches are very important. Slope of the yard is very important. All this can affect your foundation if it's not right. You don't want standing water in your yard if it's not right. It's part of the inspection, and it's a very important one.
Yeah, and I feel like I always feel like if they don't have the sod or wherever the grass put in, I mean, like, have they graded it? I'm like, like it
Yeah.
scares me at that point. So I always get worried. What is the most common issue you found during new construction inspections?
Common thing.
Yeah,
Believe it or not, one of the most common things is a cracked foundation on a brand new slab house.
yeah,
It's very, very common. Buyers get panicked and or concerned because it's the foundation of the house. But
yeah,
believe it or not, we find hairline cracks in a lot of brand new construction foundations.
yeah,
So at least by doing a home inspection, they can be explained on what to do, how to handle it, the proper steps, what are your warranties, and does an engineer have to come in? Does an engineer not have to come in?
mhm.
That's another reason to have a home inspection and get all these answers, and if your foundation is cracked.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, and it also helps explain to the buyer, when they see these things, by how you looking at them and I mean, I feel like when you're inspecting them that this is okay, is this a big deal or is it not? Or like, should we be worried? Because a lot of times they get really worried because it's a brand new house and they're investing in it and they don't understand. So
Yep.
I definitely agree with you. So what do you think? What is the differences between a home inspection for a new construction versus an existing home?
Really, absolutely, really nothing. We do the
Okay.
same thing. We look for the same things. Obviously, overall, an old 1920 home's gonna have probably
Yeah.
more things than a brand new one.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
is the same procedures, same steps,
Yeah.
same things looked at, but usually just a larger report
Yeah.
on an older home.
Yeah. Now, another question I have for you is what stage is the best time to get a home inspection on a new construction home?
When everything is on,
Yeah.
um, HVAC, gas hooked up, electrical to the property, when
Yeah.
everything's, all the appliances are installed, when it's done and turnkey, ready to go in, is the easiest and best time for a home inspector.
Yeah.
Because everything's connected, if you don't have electric, you can't test appliances
Yeah.
and HVAC, and you just need everything.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. What do you think is the most common oversight for builders that you've seen? What is the most common, like, because you mentioned about the crack in the foundation, but what else do you feel like that is the most common?
I would say one of them is going back to the grading of the lot.
Mhm.
A lot of times you catch them where they don't really pay attention to that as much as they should.
Yeah.
Um, One of the worst things I have found
Yeah.
in my
That was going to be one of my other questions, but you can answer it now.
career, it was actually on a brand new house, but it was a crawl space.
Yeah.
It was an elderly lady, and I forget why I went back a year and a half later. She wanted some help putting up a ceiling fan or something. It
Mhm.
wasn't home inspection related, but I went back there a year later.
Mhm.
And just because I'm an inspector and that's what I do, I didn't have to, but I opened her crawl space door and took a peek. And there
Yeah.
was 3 and 4 inches of water in her whole
Oh,
crawl space.
oh, wow. Wow.
in a
Yeah,
brand new 1-year-old house. They
that's
built
crazy.
next door and they changed the pitch of the land and
Uh,
everything was getting directed to her house and her crawl space was full. She probably
wow.
would have never ever looked under there. And
Wow.
that's when one thing I also do offer, and that's when I started thinking that I had to do something for these new builds.
Yeah.
So that's why I offer for new construction only. I do right when you're getting ready to sign your 1 year and take over the house, I do a free home inspection with the report and everything as a 1 year, just a little another look over.
Yeah. And that's one
Brand
of
new builds only.
Yeah, and that's one of my favorite reasons why I recommend you so much to all my clients, because I feel like you don't know the house and you don't know what else could be going on with the house until you've lived there for a little while. I mean, like, turn on the heat, turn on the gas, I mean, turn on the AC. Let's figure out really if is everything working the way it should be, and so on. So that I love, that's one of my favorite things about using your company is that you come back and it's a
I tell buyers, just like you said, you don't know your house. I always explain to buyers, when you buy a house, even if you've had two or three, this is new to you. When
yeah,
it's raining, go outside, make sure things are working, water's getting directed the way it's supposed to. Get an umbrella and walk around your house the first couple of times when it's raining, because this is a new property to you. See what things are doing to make
yeah,
sure they're functioning correctly.
for sure. And I know that just from experience with so many times like that you and I've worked together on different houses, just like the clients will call me after a few months or whatever, and they talk about all these different things, and I'm like, oh wait, when Terry comes back out, have them look at these items, because it everything's new. So one question, another question I have for you is, how can an inspection help homeowners avoid warranty disputes with the builder? Is there how does your home inspection help that?
One for sure thing is the foundation's cracked that we discussed.
Yeah,
The first thing I think of when you say that is, because that's cracked, I tell them to talk to their builder, find out how long their warranty is for the slab foundation,
yeah,
usually 7 to 10 years.
mhm,
Know what that is, since we do have a crack now and we're looking at it. Know
yeah,
what it is, know the date, take care of this before it expires. It makes them aware of how important that warranty is
yeah.
and the date on it. You don't want to go past the expiration date, especially if you know you have a crack.
Oh, definitely. And I feel like it also, I mean, it just makes the homeowner aware of to keep track of everything, and
Yep.
it gives you more of a solid, you know,
Take photos.
yeah,
Photos are a big, good idea.
yeah,
Take photos if the
yeah.
crack's changing or not.
Mhm.
Um, Foundation cracks they could go either way. A lot of them stay the same. When concrete dries, it tends to crack a lot.
Yeah,
They cut expansion joints in cement, and
yeah.
then crack likes to go up and over the outer beam in the expansion joint.
Mhm.
A lot of times they just stay and they don't change at all, but you just want to monitor it, watch it. In case it does, it can be a $20,000 to $30,000 repair.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely, definitely. So one other question I have, we have an experience with you with this, is what if one of my deals a couple of years ago, year and a half ago, 2 years ago, the builders disagreed with the buyers and you and I with some of the repairs that needed, and then I don't know if you remember that one where the wall was wet on the brand new home.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
yeah. And then 3 days later, they were just kind of disagreeing with it, and then it had high radon and so on. And by your home inspection and so on, and us pointing it out, 3 days after they closed, there was some water that came in the house, and we figured it out. And I think a big way that we figured it out was, of course, your home inspection, because they were kind of like, no, everything's fine, it's this or that. Do you how else do you think having a home inspection can help that when a builder disagrees with the buyer and the home
Well,
inspector?
that's a great point, because if I wasn't there then,
Yeah.
a home inspector, they would have just listened to him and it would have been a big problem.
Oh yeah, it was huge. Yeah. I agree
You
with
and
you.
I together figured out and helped that situation tremendously
Yeah,
and made him agree and or realize that we were right, and then he had to fix it.
yeah.
We were a lot of leverage for that buyer instead of just the buyer by himself.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I hated that it happened
If they
after the
denied that home inspection and never had one,
yeah,
they would have been standing by themselves. That would have been hard.
exactly, exactly. And then like you and I noticed, I'm like, that is too much water on that wall. And they were like, hey, it's just
We
uh
pressure washed the garage.
I was like, there's no way. I still was like, that's a lot of water. So anyways, well, so that was another question I had. So again, one of my last questions I have for you is that we were talking about what your worst thing you saw was. Was it the 3 inches of water in the, or do you
That's
have any
one of
other
them.
horrible
That's
stories?
one of them that always rings a bell to me because I know that elderly lady would have never opened that crawl space door,
Yeah,
and the water would always be there for years. I've been in houses with so much termite damage that I was wondering how it was not falling on me at the time in the crawl space.
yeah,
I've been in a couple of those. I've seen a lot. If
yeah,
you've seen what I've seen, you would always get a home inspection,
yeah,
no matter if
yeah,
new or used. Yeah,
yeah.
we see a lot every day, every week.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, I appreciate you so much coming on and chatting with us today and kind of
Oh,
talking
no
about,
problem.
yeah, all the new construction, home inspection needs and how people need to be aware that this is a thing. You really need to do this. I know it sucks to pay the money, but it's worth it. And you make it so easy. And I love it that you offer them to come back in a year because I mean, that's huge. And so I appreciate you and all that you do for me and all of my buyers so much. And so we appreciate again you coming on today and chatting with us. And all of Terry's information will be below in the chat. So if you want to reach out to him or you have a home inspection need, he would love to be able to help you with that. Or if you had any questions, reach out to him for sure. And again, Terry, we
Take your
love this.
time. Thank
Yeah,
you
thank
for
you.
having me.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank
And
you for all you guys do.
yeah, I hope you have a great weekend too.
Oh, I will.
You'll have to tell me stories. That's fun.
I'm due to visit my friends.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm excited for you. That sounds like a great trip for sure. So, well, thank you again, and I hope we get to chat again soon.
Thank you.
Thanks.